How's it going, everyone? It's Lee again from Function Dynamic, and in today's video what we'll be doing is covering a very important feature of both Creator and programming in general, and these are functions. Now, you might be able to tell by this channel name that I hold functions in high regard, and that is very true. These are so fundamental to any sort of programming, scripting, or whatever you might do for your business or application. And the reason for this is multiple. Number one, they allow us to reuse functionality. And there are many times where we might want to repeat a process over, let's say in Creator, over multiple forms or multiple workflows. We don't want to rewrite the same thing over and over. Because that creates extra work for us, number one. Number two, if we find that we might want to change the functionality, then we'll have to go back and change all the functionality across multiple forms. Now, with custom functions, it's all contained inside a single container, which is the function itself, and it can be reused over and over. And while this might seem like a lot to take in right now, we'll walk through it, and hopefully by the end of this video you'll understand a little bit better. So as you recall, we have the form workflows, and these run off of specified, they run off of specified events on a given form. So if you enter in a value, or if you enter in a fields, you might trigger a workflow. If you press submit, you might want to trigger another workflow. So that's workflows. They're specific to a given form. Schedules, on the other hand, they run at specified intervals. So we might want to set something weekly or monthly or even daily. That can be done using these. I'll leave approvals and payments for now. I'll cover those in a later video, but functions is where we're at today and what we'll cover. And as you can see right here, they're reusable functions. I don't like the functions are reusable functions. They're reusable, and they'll contain some code that will be helpful for us when creating an application. For this, I'm just going to create a very arbitrary function to show you the very basics of what functions do. And for this demonstration, I'm going to say double the word. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a function. Let's say for whatever reason in our business process, we might want to double specific words at given times. Arbitrary, I know, but this is a more practical use might be running specific calculations on given fields at a given time. So you might want to calculate some tax. You might want to calculate commission. This would be that would be a less arbitrary function and perfectly usable. So functions are the correct tool for that. Now for language, you can write in Node.js and Java, but these become fairly advanced when you start working with these. There's a lot of things that you need to do to import them and get them hooked up with the function themselves. That said, they do add a lot more functionality to whatever function you're calling. Now namespace it's not clear what it is, but what this will do, and I'll just say demo for now. This is a way to organize our functions. So over the course of creating an application, you might have 50 or more functions, and you don't want them all contained in one place, especially if there's a logical distinction between them. So you might have some functions related to emails, you might have some related to commissions. So say you do one on commissions, you might create a new namespace called commission. But in essence, though, this is just for organization. Now, the two important parts, and you don't have to be precise with it right now. I'll show you how to change these once we've created the function. There's the return type, and then there are the arguments. So the return type is what's basically the output of the function itself. So after your function runs and does its calculations or whatever, you might want it to return something, whether that be a number, a string, a date. By default, it's void, so sometimes we can return nothing. And this might be useful, say, if you want to do a simple update. For us, we're doubling the word, so we'll want to return a string. Now, specify arguments. As we said here, the return type is the output. The arguments are the input, and you can take one or many different arguments for it, and it could be as many as you want. For us, we'll just say word, and we'll keep this a string. But likewise, you can throw in anything like time, date, lists, etc. So if you have a complicated process that you need to duplicate, then there's an option for that. But for now, we'll just keep it as a string and press create function. And then we see demo double the word. Now, I'll zoom in on here just to make it a little bit bigger. Now, this is unclear for those who may be a little bit unfamiliar with scripting or programming in general. Everything you see here is editable, and this is the structure of the function. So the first word we see here is the return type. So as we've said before, we want to return a word, which is a string. We can also do void, which is nothing. And if I push save, we could say void function cannot return any value. So you just do that, save it. But this is to show that that this is editable. And likewise up here, this is the namespace, and we've called it demo. Later on, let's say we want to change it to email. We can just do it like that. And likewise, as for the arguments, we can add different ones up here as we see fit. So you don't have to get it right on the first try. Start with whatever you think needs to be done, and like I've done many times, you've gotten halfway through and realized, oh, maybe I do need something a little bit extra. So for double the words, this one is, as mentioned, fairly arbitrary. And we can keep this as a single line and do most of the script in the return line, actually all of it. So what we could do is we could do word plus word. And this is essentially doubling the word, and we can press save and then execute. Now this is for testing as well. Keep in mind that this in this instance, we're just returning something. We're not assigning values to given records. But as you start creating more complicated functions and you're updating values, you'll want to be careful with this, because anytime you press execute and you're doing updates on records, well, it's going to do the updates on records. But for this, we're just returning something, and I'll show you how that goes. So let's just do dog, press submit, and the return value is dog. So the argument, which is the string word, we entered in as dog, and the return value is dog. Now, it is, you might have noticed or might not have noticed that this is agnostic to whatever we are throwing in. So these parameter values, although we're putting in cat as an argument, the word will assume whatever you're throwing into the function. So if we change it to cat, for example, it's going to return cat. And we can say pig. And of course, pig. Yeah. So it doesn't, all we need to know is that we're dealing with a word. We don't care what word, we don't care what it is or what it's referring to. We just need to know the type of data it is. In this case, it's a string. And then we can work through it like that. Now I'm going to create a new function. So demo. And I changed the namespace to email, and so that way, so now we can see that email is showing up here instead of demo as it was before. Select return type. We'll just keep this void and keep no arguments. And now that we have a given function, the way we reference it either in a function itself or another function is by typing in this app dot the namespace dot the function created. So we can then duplicate this functionality or reuse this functionality in multiple places like seen here. In this case, we'll just do info, and info is just going to give a little print for us. We use the info statement a lot when we're debugging or developing a function itself. It's hard to keep track of things as you do it, so it's always good to put little infos here and there as you go along, just to make sure that everything is as you expect. So we press execute, and we could see that dog is there. Whether you already have a Creator application, are looking to get started, or just want to have a one-on-one conversation to get pointed in the right direction, always feel free to reach out to us at Function Dynamic by going to www.functiondynamic.com. Click the Contact Us link and fill in the Get Started form. Once filled in, you will automatically receive an email with a link to schedule a time that works best for you. This was Lee from Function Dynamic. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we do something a little bit more practical with functions.